Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see everybody here. It's truly an honor to be here today as we celebrate the establishment of a new endowed scholarship in memory of Paul Salada and Shapour. It has been a privilege to work alongside Audra Harris, the National Technical Honor Society, and so many dedicated faculty members to make this scholarship a reality. Paul and Shapour were extraordinary faculty members in our business programs. They shaped and guided countless students through their expertise, membership, and unwavering commitment to education. Their impact on students and colleagues was immeasurable. And today we ensure that their legacy will continue to support future business students. The scholarship would not have been possible without the dedication of the National Technical Honor Society. Many people don't know what the National Technical Honor Society is. It is a prestigious club for students that have an academic GPA of 3.0 or higher. We have lots of community projects. These are our top students, if you will. We often refer to it as NTHS. So if I call it NTHS, National Technical Honor Society, it's one and the same. The team of NTHS advisors have graciously volunteered their time. We've sold pizza. We have sold croissants. I've stood out beside the road on Skybow Road with a sign at Chick-fil-A during one of our events. We are especially grateful to Superior Bakery, who has donated croissants for every single event that we've had, and they've even donated croissants for today. You guys, if you need a cake or a pie for a special occasion, go support them. Their generosity has really been instrumental in raising the funds for this scholarship. Most of us remember Paul and Shapour as colleagues, mentors, and friends. Thankfully, Audra Harris recognized that one of the most meaningful ways to honor their memory was through a scholarship that would continue commitment to student success. Together, we raised $15,000 and secured additional funding necessary to endow the scholarship. What makes an endowed scholarship so special is the principle remains intact, but it will live on the interest. So this will go to support students year after year after year. Isn't that amazing? We have an opportunity to honor two remarkable men while simultaneously investing in the future of our students. Audra, thank you for your vision, your leadership, dedication throughout this process. I am grateful to have played a small role in helping preserve Paul and Shapour's legacy. I have a lot of fond memories of Paul and Shapour. Whether it might have been watching Paul eat a little fast, or Shapour talking about the Federal Reserve and its importance. Their personalities, knowledge, and friendship left a lasting impression on me and everyone else. This project has truly been one of the highlights of my career, and I am very thankful to everyone that helped make it happen. National Technical Honor Society also was able to raise the money for the scholarship, but we were also able to create the parameters in which the scholarship will be issued. So anyone that will receive the scholarship has to be a business student, has to maintain a 3.0 GPA, and be registered for 12 hours here on campus. I recently had the opportunity to talk with our very first recipient, and I was very impressed. And I think you will be too. Although we're missing a few of our advisors today, many of us are out on summer break, enjoying the beach, the mountains, and some of us even enjoying Vegas. There's going to be a lot of individuals that are going to come and share some of their ideas and their memories of Paul as well as Shapour. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. LaShonda Lewis She is a National Technical Honor Society advisor. She is a business administration instructor. She's my friend and colleague. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Lewis.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be reading remarks on behalf of Dr. Lodi. I regret I cannot be with you today due to a teaching commitment. I would also like to congratulate the recipients of the first Paul and Shapour Memorial Scholarship. May this award serve as both a recognition of your achievements and a reminder of the lasting impact that dedicated educators can have on the lives of others. When I was asked to say a few words, I realized that although I did not know him as closely as some of others did, I was fortunate to cross paths with him at several different stages of life. I first met him 15 years ago at our mosque. He was actively involved in the community, and one of my earliest memories of him was serving as the conductor of the elections. Now, for those who have worked in volunteer-based religious organizations, you know that conducting elections is not always a simple task. In fact, it is often the kind of assignment people try very hard to avoid. Yet somehow, he was one of the people who would be called when those difficult jobs needed to be completed. That was because people trusted him. He had a reputation for being impartial, level-headed, and fair. Even when opinions differed, people knew he would listen carefully and treat everyone with respect. Those qualities are not always easy to find, and they are even harder to maintain over the years of service. Years later, our paths crossed again at Campbell University, where we both adjunct professors in the bachelor's program at Fort Bragg campus. Campbell had a wonderful holiday dinner every year, and to be honest, the food was often a major attraction. We would sit together, enjoy the meal, and spend time talking about teaching, higher education, and the many challenges that come with academic life. As it turned out, he had spent part of his career at Fayetteville State University, where I had also worked. They gave us plenty to talk about. We shared stories, exchanged experiences, and occasionally engaged in what I politely call professional reflection about some of our former administration. I am sure you can imagine how those conversations sometimes went. What I appreciated most was those conversations were always thoughtful and good-natured. He was never someone who thrived on negativity. He listened, he reflected, and he always seemed to keep things in perspective. When I joined FTCC more than a decade ago, I began seeing him again in professional development activities around campus. I often saw him near the stairs on the western side of Cumberland Hall. He would stop for a quick greeting before heading off to his next task. Those encounters were brief, but they revealed something important about him. He was very focused. He cared deeply about his work, and he cared about his students. My last memory of him is an unexpected one. I was driving by and saw Shapour beneath a pecan tree near his home. I realized that we lived only a couple of blocks apart on the same street. I remember thinking that next time I saw him, I would mention it. Somehow, that opportunity never came. We eventually moved away, and I did not see him again. Looking back, what remains are not grand events or dramatic moments. They are simply memories, a smile in the hallway, conversations over dinner, shared stories about teaching, and those occasional gripe sessions that somehow left you feeling better afterwards. Sometimes we do not realize that a person is leaving a lasting impression on us until years later. He certainly left one. In all of our interactions, I came to know him as a trustworthy, sincere, and genuine person. He was someone who quietly served others, carried responsibility with integrity, and treated people with fairness and respect. Today, as we honor his memory through this scholarship, I think that it is a fitting tribute. Scholarships are investments in future generations, and educators spend their lives investing in others. Through this scholarship, his influence will continue long after any of us are gone. I am grateful that our paths crossed. I only wish we shared a little more time together. My prayers are with him, and my heartfelt wishes are with his family. May they find comfort in knowing that his life touched many people and that his memory continues to inspire those who knew him. Thank you. Next, thank you. Next, I would like to introduce our other advisor, Ms. Marjorie Parker.
Okay, I want to read the following, shared by Daisy Fox. She could not be here today, so I'm going to read on behalf of her, okay? This is about Shapour. I want to begin by saying thank you to Audra because of her persistence and sheer determination this day is possible. After several years, there is now an endowed scholarship for Shapour and Paul, and today a recipient has been designated. This is a great day for their respective families and the business department as a whole. When Audra asked me to speak about our colleague, Shapour, I was elated to do so. I knew him from the many roles that he lived. Shapour loved his family. He often spoke about his daughter, her high school years at Terry Sanford, her college, and her journey to med school. He was so proud of that. His goal was to work until she finished med school. He was proud of his son and often talked about how computer savvy he was. Shapour was the consummate professional. He knew his subject matter and he loved teaching. He and I would often have discussions about the economy and the many of the concepts that we were teaching in class. He was quiet but strong, and he persevered through some difficult times within this department. Shapour was a colleague. His support was unwavering. He was there for the many activities and events that the department was having, participating and supporting those activities. He was always demonstrating his concern and care for this department. Shapour was my friend. I could not have asked for a better friend, one that was loyal and could be trusted. When I needed him to help or listen, he was there. I was there for him when he needed me to help or listen as well. When he left, there was a void in my life at Fayetteville Tech Community College that was never filled. I and many of his colleagues never got the chance to say goodbye to our dear friend. We were shocked to hear of his passing. There was no closure, but today we have closure. We have the opportunity to let his family know what he meant to many of us and this department. This scholarship will live in perpetuity, and Shapour and Paul will as well. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Ron O'Brien. He's a colleague and friend and business department instructor. Good job, Ron.
All right, where'd you put my notes? This may be emotional for me, so bear with me if it happens. I'll regain my composure. I wanted to share a few memories and stories about my friend Paul. Paul and I hit it off immediately. Our offices were catty-corner from each other in the Cumberland hallway up there. Because of the angles, I could see clearly straight into his office, but where his desk was, he couldn't see into mine, so I had somewhat of an advantage there. We quickly realized how much we had in common, and we shared countless stories about our childhood and our military careers. He told me about growing up in poverty in Pennsylvania, near the railroad tracks, in the wintertime in the cold rain and snow, how he'd have to go out and find the coal that had fallen off the railroad cars. We also traded many stories about our military experience. One military story was about one of the dentists that he had worked with. A high-ranking officer had a problem with his tooth and was creating a problem for the dentist who was trying to help him. Basically, the officer needed a crown, but there was some difficulties getting it put in. When the dentist completed his work, he'd carefully sketched out a cuss word, which I was told not to mention in this speech, on the officer's tooth. As Paul and I became closer friends, we continuously solved the world's problems. We discussed global and local politics, religion, investment opportunities, and I'll put this in quotes, some of the few problems that we had here in Fayetteville Tech, but not many. Nevertheless, between the two of us, we'd solved all the world's problems, and frankly, I'm quite shocked and appalled and annoyed that the world in Fayetteville Tech didn't take our solutions. But beyond the jokes, Paul was profoundly caring and a compassionate person. He always went out of his way to help any student who walked through the door, whether they were registering for classes or just needed to chit-chat. Because of that heart, he went through the training to become a certified veterans counselor, and countless students, veterans and non-veterans, sought out his guidance and his counseling. He looked out for them fiercely. On 2 separate occasions, he called the Fayetteville Police Department to initiate wellness checks on students that he was worried about. Luckily, both of them turned out to be okay. Sadly, there was another occasion that weighed heavily on him. I had referred one of my students to Paul for immediate counseling. Paul also recognized the severity of the crisis that this student was going through. He spent a couple hours wrestling with the VA, fighting through the red tape to get the student admitted immediately for emergency counseling. This was on a Friday, back in the days when everybody worked on Friday. Because Paul was able to work the bureaucracy, the student was admitted to the VA hospital that day. However, and this is a cheap shot at the VA released that student on Monday morning. The second Sunday after his release, the student took his own life. It was a tragedy that broke our hearts then, and as you can see, still does mine. But Paul's dedication to trying to save that young man never wavered. He was also a peacemaker. On another occasion, on the back hall crew had gathered in the corridor to pontificate and solve the problems of the day. And unfortunately, on that day, 2 of the guys got into a really heated argument. As they were about to come to physical blows, Paul calmly stepped between them, held up his hand and said, "Okay, fellas, okay, back it up, back to your corners." And of course, everybody laughed at that and they went back to their corners. Paul was a good man in every sense of the word. He loved his wife and his son. He's the kind of man you would want to have your sister to marry. He was the kind of man you wanted by your side when things got tough, whether you were in an office or whether you were in combat. Paul, I love you and I miss you. Thank you. I'll be followed by Denelda.
Where's the tissues? My name's Denelda Salada. I'm Paul Saladay's wife. Good afternoon, everyone. Ben, Morgan, his love, and I are so thankful to be here today. You can only imagine the emotions it has stirred. This is such an honor to a man who served FTCC well and the great husband and father whom we loved so very much. I would like to tell you a little about him. Most knew him as Paul, but I called him Dave, David being his middle name. We were married for 40 beautiful years, and we have one son, Ben. Dave served 20 years in the Air Force and retired as a master sergeant. He spent time in the service working toward and earning several degrees. His master's in business is what led him here to FTCC. He loved life and was often found whistling a happy tune. He was full of joy that spilled over when you were with him. He was a man of faith. He cared about the students that served here. Across the hall from Dave's office was the office of Ron O'Brien. They became good friends, chatting often of investments, both of them being in the right department, the business department. What a privilege it is to stand before you today as we honor the legacy of Paul David Salada and Shapour. We are so proud of the man, the husband, the father, the friend, and so very thankful to all who brought this to be and all their hard work to see it through. To the first recipient of this award, on behalf of our family, we truly wish you well. We wish you great and mighty things. To close, I will leave you all with this. Love hard. Forgive always. Cherish each day. Live with a heart of gratitude. And maybe even whistle a tune. Thank you.
It's an honor to be up here today to introduce you to the recipient. I didn't know either one of these gentlemen, but I can tell you that hearing about them, I wish I had. But I think that they would really like this recipient. I am so blessed to have wonderful students in my class, like Veronica Dove, your recipient. This young woman is driven. She is determined. I got an email from the library, and it was from Mary, and she said, hey, we had a student come today, and we have a wonderful law library, but not all our students use it, but I have our students using it now. She goes, and one of your students was determined to check out one of the books, and we don't have, you're not allowed to check these books out, but she was determined because she was in an American government class, and they were talking about a discrimination case, and she wanted to know the ending. And she needed that book. And they allowed her, thank you, Mary, to check the book out so that Veronica could find the answers. And when you have a student that wants to find the answers, that is worth everything. She has worked a part-time job while going to classes. She has also helped other students. They all notice in the suite that I always had candy, and they're like, Miss Vonnegut, we need to help you out here. Because she noticed that some of the students they would come to class hungry. And so if you come to the Paralegal Technology Suite, thanks to Veronica and her partner in crime, Amber, we have a Keurig, we have a hot tea thing, we have snacks galore, cookies and chips, because they went to BJ's and they bought those things to help other people. She has a humongously big heart. I know, without a doubt, we are going to hear great and wonderful things from this Miss Veronica Dove. It's been an honor, so thank you.
Miss Dove, if you'll come forward.
On behalf of FTCC Foundation Office and the Salada and Shapour Dowlatshahi Memorial Scholarship, we'd like to present to you the first recipient of our scholarship.
I'm so honored to be here and chosen. That I'm impressed by everybody here, the depth of their love for the member of the honor today, as well as the depth of their dedication to ensuring that we have a legacy that creates opportunity for students in the disciplines medicine. I actually regret not being able to meet them, but I feel like coming over here today, I really see what kind of men they are and what they stood for. I lost my father last month, from whistling to the religion, military service. I see him here today as well. So, thank you to everyone who made this happen, and I promise you that every hour, every day that I spend at FTCC will be spent furthering what everyone here is doing. Thank you.
Wow, how do you go after that? So I am actually giving comments from Mr. J.C. Bill Flowers. He was not able to be with us today, and I'm going to share with you what he actually provided. I still remember the first time I met Paul and Shapour. Both had offices at the end of the hallway, just like everyone else in the suite. Both were not just good colleagues, but they were great friends of all of us. At times, both raised the bar for all of us. They shared new ideas, shared opinions when things got chaotic, but also shared laughter as well. For me personally, Paul and Shapour's presence is a constant reminder that professionalism and kindness can and should go hand in hand. Both demonstrated the leadership isn't about titles, but all about the way you make it. People feel and feel capable. Even though they are not with us today, they should always remember, once a part of a team, always part of a team. Thank you so much for being friends. J.C. Bill Flowers.
This concludes our ceremony. We have some light refreshments in the back, and we would like to have lots of different people up at different times to take some photos. Thank you.